Have you ever wondered why some men seem to have an almost magical ability to make women obsessed with them? They walk into a room and instantly all eyes are on them. Women can't stop thinking about them, even when they're not around. What if I told you that you could have that same power? This isn't about looks, money, or even status. No, my friend, this is about psychology, dark psychology. And today, I'm going to reveal 11 extremely dark tricks that can make any woman think about you nonstop. But here's the catch. These tactics aren't for the weak. They're powerful, and if used the wrong way, they can backfire. So, if you're ready to learn how to leave an unforgettable mark on any woman's mind, watch this video till the end, because trust me, missing even one of these tricks could mean the difference between being just another guy and being the one she can't stop thinking about. Oh, and before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I drop game-changing content like this every week and you don't want to miss out. Now let's dive into it. 1. The power of unpredictability. I want to know if you've ever been in a relationship where someone was constantly there for you, whether it was through morning texts, night checks, or just being there whenever you needed them. Feels good at first, doesn't it? However, after that, a change occurs. It gets to be too effortless, far too typical. Your enthusiasm gradually wanes, maybe even subconsciously. Switch roles for a second and consider a character that managed to keep you on your toes. Someone whose responses were not always prompt. Someone who caught you off guard with sudden displays of affection, only to withdraw when you wanted more. Which one is most memorable to you? That is the strength of uncertainty. You need to shake up the routine of being predictable if you want a lady to think about you all the time. When things get boring, they lose their appeal since our brains are hardwired to seek out new and exciting experiences. Pretend for a second that you and a woman have been having a conversation for several weeks. Even if she loves your discussions, all of a sudden, you stop talking to her for a few days. No text wishing you a happy morning, no stopping by at random. She begins to question, is he occupied? Am I making a mistake? The lack of a text message from him baffles me. In her mind, the blanks are filled in. During those moments, she thinks about you exclusively. Just when she's about to start overthinking everything, you surprise her with something entirely different. A voice note full of jokes or a profound inquiry that makes her ponder. Oh my. Her feelings intensify once more. Finally, she's captivated. Ignoring her is not the point. The focus here is on managing the cadence of discourse. On occasion, give it your all. Sometimes you should step back. Do all you can to keep her guessing and waiting for your next move. Don't forget that being constantly present doesn't create an obsession. It's the absence of you that makes her long for you. The other side, though, is that she may think you're playing games if you go beyond. Maintain a steady equilibrium by being both authentic and surprising. Make her feel unique when you interact with her. Make her want your presence by giving her an emotional high. Additionally, this is not limited to texting. Act impulsively while interacting with people in real life. Surprise her instead of usually going on safe, typical dates. Embark on an impromptu journey with her. Surprisingly, make her chuckle with your words. Maintain a dynamic and engaging pace. Consider a person from your history. Now we're getting down to brass tacks. Someone who'd been too easy to foresee. Is your mind still dwelling on those thoughts now? Very unlikely. Whoever left you wondering should be on your mind right now. Whoever it was who left you with unresolved questions, I thought they were the ones that got trapped. That is the strength of uncertainty. This same method works if you're currently coping with heartbreak or are having trouble moving on from a past relationship. You need to start living your own life on an unpredictable pattern breaker. Cease monitoring their social media accounts. Leave the past in the past. Treat yourself to something out of the ordinary. If you want to stop dwelling on the past and start living in the present, all you have to do is bring some degree of uncertainty into your own life. Are you prepared for my next sly move? Be on the lookout for something much more potent coming up next. 2. The Art of Scarcity. Everyone wants what they can't have, right? Let's face it, that's human nature. It's just the way we are. Put it in your mind. Those rare kicks that don't last a minute, the highly sought-after VIP tickets that race the clock, the prestigious organization that admits just a small number of members. Something is more valuable when it is scarce. How about if I told you that the same principle governs romantic relationships? Your worth will immediately decrease if you're too approachable, too quick to respond, etc. Suppose a woman you meet shows signs of interest in you. What would happen if you tell her yes to everything? Never let her wait and text her constantly? You are her security and she knows it. Nothing to solve, nothing to uncover, nothing to pursue. After then, the thrill fades away. Now imagine the inverse. Let yourself be imagined as a man who isn't always prompt in his responses. A man with a rich life, interests, ambitions, and meaning. A guy whose attention is meaningful when it is given. But not always. She begins to question, why isn't he available at all times? Someone else is he conversing with? Is he thinking about me specifically, or am I only another number? Furthermore, that interest grows into a fixation. Making things scarce is the goal, not ignoring her. When you pay attention, it matters because you get to decide when. We can go even further now. When did your ex suddenly stop trying to get in touch with you? Who left you surprised by how fast they moved on? I bet it intensified your desire for them. The reason behind this is that our brain tends to give something more weight when we perceive it as scarce or fading away. So apply this same principle to yourself if you're suffering from heartbreak. If you can't stop thinking about the person who left you, refrain from placing all of your focus on them. Quit giving in to their recollections so easily. Get off your duff and start making yourself unique and valuable by pursuing your own dreams. Because I'll tell you what, when you're scarce, people take note. Your absence is suddenly felt by those who departed. Those who disregarded you begin to question, and new people are captivated by the air of intrigue you cast. The point of scarcity isn't merely to get her to think about you. It's to get her to respect you. Everyone will look down on you if you're always letting yourself be taken advantage of. But what happens if you become unique? At that point, they begin to pursue. Now, who have you been overly accessible to? You should have been stepping back from the people you've been pursuing. Assuming you pull this off successfully, she will begin to fantasize about you all the time. Keep watching. Because mind control is the next trick if you're ready for that level of obsession. 3. Implanting thoughts through triggers. Would you believe me if I said that you could teach a woman to think about you all the time, even when you're not physically present? Seems absurd, doesn't it? Now this is serious. Once you master the psychological technique known as anchoring, you can make any woman permanently associate you with anything you want. Recall your former partner. Is there a particular tune that can transport you back in time? Somewhere that brings back memories of them? An aroma that the second it wafts through the air transports you back to that time? That's because you've learned to link those things with that specific individual. You can also use this strategy to permanently imprint yourself on a woman's thoughts. How it works is that you associate a particular object or idea with a one-of-a-kind emotional experience you make. To illustrate, if you want to be seen by her, you must always wear your signature scent. After a while, she'll think of you every time she smells that scent. Call her by a unique moniker or expression that no one else knows. It brings back memories of you every time she hears it. While you're in the same room, put on a specific song. She will miss you when she hears it later. Slowly but surely, these innocuous cues will start to bring you to mind. The more you bring you up in conversation, the more difficult it is for her to put you out of her mind. This is the path that leads to dependence on other people. Creating anchors that bring you back into their thoughts is just as important as dealing with emotions. Just wait until you get the hang of it. Regardless of her mood, she will be constantly considering you. Are you prepared for my next sly move? The situation will only worsen from here, so stay tuned. The forbidden fruit effect. Why is it that we always desire things that are out of our reach? For some reason, the moment something is no longer available, its worth seems to increase exponentially. Just consider your own life. Have you ever experienced the paradox of increased thought about another person when you felt they weren't paying enough attention to you? Perhaps it was when an ex-lover left that you felt the intense desire to win them back. Among the most potent psychological triggers for attraction, this is known as the forbidden fruit effect. As soon as our minds perceive that an object is just out of reach, they begin to fixate on it. As time goes on, our desire for it grows. All right, let's circle back to your romantic life. You can avoid this effect by not being overly accessible at all times. However, you transform into the forbidden fruit the second you step back, establish some space, and give the impression that she's pursuing you. Here's a case in point. Suppose you and a woman you've been texting have been having a blast. However, you inject some unpredictability into the mix rather than being readily available or giving in at all times. She wants you to compliment her, so she flirts with you. You keep the interaction lighthearted and slightly challenging by teasing her instead. I might be, but only if you can convince me it'll be worth my time. You say this in response to her question about whether you're available on Friday. Do you see what's going on? It's not rude of you. You're not trying to trick anyone. You're just slightly putting yourself out of reach. She starts to question, wait, why isn't he like every other guy? All of a sudden, he should be swooning over me right now. I must demonstrate my worth to him. At that point, everything changes. Allow me to get down to brass tacks for a moment. If you're going through a tough breakup and feeling like your ex doesn't care, know that their value for you decreases the more you pursue them. However, they begin to wonder about you once more the second you turn into the forbidden fruit, the second you isolate yourself, thus cease being excessively approachable. Put an end to being so transparent. Get a life and start living it your way. Reason being, she will become fixated on regaining access to you the moment she perceives a threat to it. Just keep watching if you want to see how far we can go. What I'm going to tell you next is, it's already dark. 5. The dark power of emotional highs and lows. In my experience, it's usually the most toxic relationships that are the most difficult to end. Even you are aware of how bad they are for you. They wound you, you know. Still, they remain ingrained in your mind. Why? Reason being, they cause a roller coaster of emotions. Permit me to elaborate. In order to experience pleasure, our brains are hardwired to seek out the neurotransmitter dopamine. So, you want to know something? Increased dopamine levels are associated with more extreme emotional ups and downs. Imagine your romantic life for a moment. Has a person you were seeing ever made you feel incredible one second, and then completely lost and uninterested the next? Someone who never really satisfied you, but provided you with the amount of love you needed to stay hooked? That's the key to becoming obsessed. I am not advising you to be poisonous, so let me clarify. It is not about causing harm to individuals. Having a firm grasp of human psychology will allow you to more easily forge an intimate bond. Let me show you how to use this correctly. Make her feel like the only woman on Earth by not being predictable all the time and instead being incredibly present. At other times, maintain an appropriate level of space, not ignoring her, but allowing her to miss you by remaining slightly distant. Make unforgettable, intense moments while you're in each other's company. Join me on an outrageous adventure. Have meaningful discussions, and evoke an emotion in her that she hasn't experienced with other men. Then back off if you need to. Give her a taste of what it's like to be independent. Check it out. The brain becomes dependent on the ups and downs you cause it to experience emotionally. Allow me to return this to you now. Know this, you aren't missing your ex. If you're having trouble moving on from your breakup, you long for the roller coaster of emotions they provided. You don't need them to create highs and lows, though. Take a risk, plan an impromptu vacation, challenge yourself to do something you've never done before, or try something totally new. Reason being, when you experience new forms of elation, your mind stops fixating on the past. And what if your goal is to make her completely devoted to you? Build those peaks alongside you. Permit me to take you to the next level of mind games. Why? Because what comes next? She will always remember you because of it. 6. The almost kiss. Has it ever happened to you that you were inches away from kissing someone, but you refrained? Perhaps you were in the throes of a passionate kiss when suddenly something shattered the spell. Ask yourself honestly, did you dwell on that scene afterwards? You did, without a doubt, for the simple reason that unfinished tasks annoy the brain. The almost kiss trick becomes useful in that situation, my friend. Imagine you're out on a date. There is a growing chemistry. She's showing you everything you need to know, stroking her hair, drawing you closer and staring at your lips. Wait a second before going in for the kiss. Admire her mouth. Feel free to raise the stakes. Approach her as if you were going to kiss her. And then, at the last second, step back, grin, and shift the conversation. What comes up after this? Why didn't he kiss me? She asks herself. Am I the one? Does he really desire me? Next time I want him to kiss me. Without even realizing it, you've started a thought in her head. Your thought is probably something along the lines of, won't that annoy her? Yes, but that's the main idea. Giving in to someone's demands isn't the secret to obsession. First, it's making them want it more. Consider your personal history now. Have you ever felt like something was about to happen? When someone suddenly distanced themselves, after that, did it remain in your thoughts? Exactly. This works because the brain fixates on incomplete experiences. If you give her everything right away, she moves on quickly. But if you leave just a little unfinished business, she won't be able to stop thinking about you. And if you want to take this even further, next time, when you do finally kiss her, pull away just slightly in the middle. Let her lean in for more. Let her feel like she's the one chasing the moment. And once she starts chasing, she's already hooked. Now, if you thought that was powerful, just wait. What I'm going to tell you next is, it's the ultimate mind game that will make her crave you like never before. 7. The mystery factor. Make her feel like she can't fully figure you out. Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who had this air of mystery around them? Someone who didn't reveal too much about themselves right away, and instead made you curious, even obsessed trying to figure them out? Think back to your past relationships or crushes. Who stuck in your mind the longest? Was it the person who told you everything right away? Who was an open book from the start? Or was it the one who had layers, who kept you guessing? Who made you feel like there was always something more to discover? The answer is obvious. Humans are naturally drawn to mystery. When something is unknown, our brains can't stop thinking about it. We crave the answers, we need to solve the puzzle. And that's exactly why. If you want a woman to think about you 24/7, you must become a bit of a mystery yourself. But here's where most guys mess up. They try too hard to impress. They overshare. They spill their life stories in the first few conversations. Then what takes place? The mystery dies. There's nothing left for her to discover. Nothing to keep her intrigued. Instead, try this. Answer questions in an interesting way. If she asks, "What do you do for fun?" don't just say, "I go to the gym." Say something like, "I could tell you, but I feel like I'd rather show you one day." Don't always be available. If she texts, don't always reply instantly. Let her wonder what you're doing. Let her miss you. Have an unpredictable side. Surprise her with a new side of yourself when she least expects it. One day, be playful and teasing. The next, be deep and thoughtful. By doing this, she'll never feel like she fully has you figured out, and that's what will make her mind constantly return to you. Now think about your ex for a second. The reason they still pop up in your mind sometimes, it's because there are unanswered questions, unresolved emotions. The brain hates unfinished business. So here's my challenge for you. Start becoming the mystery, not just for women, but for yourself. Start living a life that's intriguing, that people want to know more about. Because when you do, she'll be hooked on you. And trust me, the next trick I'm about to tell you, it's even more powerful. Keep watching. 8. The emotional imprint. How to make her associate strong feelings with you. Have you ever heard a song and suddenly, boom, you're back in a moment from your past? A relationship, a heartbreak, a night that changed everything? That's because emotions and memories are deeply connected. And if you want to make a woman think about you all the time, you need to leave a strong emotional imprint on her. Most guys think attraction is all about looks or money. Wrong. A woman will forget a guy's face. She'll forget his texts, but she will never forget how he made her feel. Now think about your past. Who was the one person you couldn't forget? Was it the one who just made things comfortable and nice? Or was it the one who made you feel something intense? Whether it was excitement, passion, even heartbreak, that's the key. You don't just want to be a guy she likes. You want to be the guy who makes her feel something powerful. Here's how you do it. Take her on an emotional roller coaster. Have deep, meaningful conversations. Then suddenly switch to playfulness and teasing. Make her feel a spectrum of emotions with you. Create unforgettable moments. Instead of boring, typical dates, do things that are out of the ordinary. Go on spontaneous adventures. Introduce her to new experiences. Create stories that she'll replay in her head over and over. Be the one who challenges her. Don't agree with everything she says. Don't always make things easy. Push her to think deeper, to see the world differently. When someone challenges our mind, we think about them more. This is why toxic exes are so hard to forget. They create extreme highs and lows. And while you don't want to be toxic, you do want to create highs and lows in a way that keeps her hooked. Because if she feels deeply around you, she won't be able to let go. And if you're thinking, but what if I'm the one struggling to forget someone? Then you know this is true. The reason your ex still crosses your mind is because they left an emotional imprint. The solution? Create new emotional imprints. Do things that make you feel alive. Go on new adventures. Create new, stronger memories that replace the old ones. And if you want her to obsess over you, start making her feel something she's never felt before. Now, are you ready for the most deadly trick of all? since the following one? It's just psychological warfare. 9. The power of delayed gratification. Make her work for you. Let me ask you something. Why do we appreciate things more when we have to work for them? Think about the most expensive thing you've ever bought. Maybe it was a car, a watch, a luxury item. You probably cherish it more than something cheap and easy to get, right? That's because our brain values things based on effort. Now apply this to dating. If a woman gets all of you right away, if you're too easy to win over, she won't appreciate you as much. But if she has to work a little, invest effort, chase you suddenly, she sees you as more valuable. Most guys do the opposite. They think, if I give her everything, she'll love me more. So they text nonstop, compliment too much, and try too hard to impress. But what does that do? It makes her feel like she didn't earn it. And if she didn't earn it, she won't value it. Instead, flip the script. Make her qualify herself. If she compliments you, instead of just saying thanks, tease her a little. That's sweet. But I feel like you're just saying that to get on my good side. Give attention in doses. Be engaged when you're with her, but don't always be available. Kreisven. Let her feel what it's like to miss you. Reward her effort. If she goes out of her way for you, show appreciation. This makes her feel like she's winning your attention, rather than just getting it easily. Now let's flip this back to you. If you're heartbroken, if you're struggling to move on from an ex, ask yourself, are you giving your thoughts to them too easily? Are you making it too easy for them to occupy your mind? Start making them earn that space. Stop giving them free rent in your head. Shift your focus to yourself, to your goals, to your future. Because when you do, that's when people start chasing you. And if you followed all these steps, trust me, she won't just think about you. She'll obsess over you. 10. The scarcity effect. Make her feel like you're a rare find. Let me ask you something. Why do we always want things that are rare? Why do people go crazy over limited edition sneakers, designer bags, or even a rare collector's item? It's because our brain is wired to value scarcity. The moment something is hard to get, our mind automatically assumes it's more valuable. And the same rule applies in dating. Think about the people you've dated in the past. Who did you value more, the one who was always accessible, always saying yes, always putting you first, or the one who made you work a bit, made you wonder whether you actually had them, made you feel like they were something special? The answer is already in your head. Now let's flip this back to you. If you're heartbroken, if you're struggling to move on from an ex, ask yourself, are you giving your thoughts to them too easily? Are you making it too easy for them to occupy your mind? Start making them earn that space. Stop giving them free rent in your head. Shift your focus to yourself, to your goals, to your future. Because when you do, that's when people start chasing you. And if you followed all these steps, trust me, she won't just think about you. She'll obsess over you. 10. The scarcity effect. Make her feel like you're a rare find. Let me ask you something. Why do we always want things that are rare? Why do people go crazy over limited edition sneakers, designer bags, or even a rare collector's item? It's because our brain is wired to value scarcity. The moment something is hard to get, our mind automatically assumes it's more valuable. And the same rule applies in dating. Think about the people you've dated in the past. Who did you value more, the one who was always accessible, always saying yes, always putting you first, or the one who made you work a bit, made you wonder whether you actually had them, made you feel like they were something special? The answer is already in your head. Now let's flip this back to you. If you're constantly messaging her first, always saying yes to plans, always making her feel like she already has you completely, you're eliminating the scarcity effect. She doesn't feel like she needs to earn you. Instead, do this. Be less available. Not in a phony manner, but in a way that indicates you have your own life. If she messages you, don't always react promptly. If she offers to hang out, don't always say yes instantly. Let her feel like she has to work for your time. Have high standards. If you act like any woman can have you, then she won't perceive you as uncommon. But if you show that you have standards, expectations, and a life of your own, she'll perceive you as someone worth chasing. Make her feel like she's blessed to have your attention. Instead of proving yourself to her, let her feel like she has to prove herself to you. Now let's speak about heartbreak for a second. If you're fixated on an ex, if you feel like they don't appreciate you anymore, it's usually because you offered too much without letting them earn it. They grew used to having you. They started taking you for granted. But what happens when you become scarce? When you stop pursuing, stop making yourself so easy to reach, Stop giving them all your energy. Suddenly their mind starts wondering about you again. They start doubting if they actually had you all along. This is why when you draw away, when you focus on yourself, when you create a sense of scarcity, that's when people start needing you. And if you do this the proper way, she won't just think about you, she'll feel like she needs you. Now get ready, because the final trick? It's the deadliest one yet. 11. The reverse chase effect. Make her feel like it was her idea. Let's be real. People don't appreciate being told what to do. If someone pushes too hard, if someone tries too hard to convince us, our natural instinct is to back away. Think about it. Have you ever had someone be too into you? Too eager, too determined to win you over? Didn't that make you lose interest a little? Now what about the individual that made you feel like you had to win them over? The individual who, instead of pursuing, made you feel like you were the one putting in the effort? That's the secret to the reverse chase effect. Most males strive much too hard to impress women. They attempt to convince them to like them. They strive to win their attention. But the instant you reverse the dynamic and make her feel like she's the one following you, that's when she becomes emotionally invested. Here's how you do it. Don't give her too much too soon. If you're chatting to her, be engaged. Be fun. But don't disclose everything about yourself at once. Make her inquisitive. Make her ask additional questions. Let her be the one who escalates. Instead of you usually messaging first, wait and see if she initiates. Instead of continuously asking to hang together, let her be the one to offer arrangements. Tease her playfully. When she flirts, instead than just accepting it, tease her back. Oh, so you're trying to charm me now? I see what you're doing. This makes her feel like she's the one doing the chasing. And here's the psychological twist. When people feel like they've worked for something, they appreciate it more. Now, if you're coping with heartbreak, listen closely. Maybe your ex has moved on. Maybe they're behaving like they don't care. And you feel that if you could only convince them, they'd come back. But that's not how the mind works. The more you chase them, the less power you have. The more you make them feel like they already have you, the less interesting you seem to them. But when you stop chasing, when you focus on your life, your ambitions, your happiness, when you make them feel like they have to struggle to be in your world again, that's when the reverse pursuit begins. They'll start questioning why you're different, why you're not racing after them, why suddenly they feel like they could have lost you. And once someone feels like they could lose something rare, they start pursuing it. So remember this, it's not about proving yourself to her. It's about making her feel like you are the prize. And once you do that, she won't only think about you, she'll never quit. Conclusion. And that, my friends, is how you make a lady think about you. 24/7. These are not simply recommendations. They are psychological weapons. Use them carefully. If you found this video beneficial, slam that like button, subscribe to the channel, and write a comment below. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.